All right, thank you, Dan. Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome to today's Colorado Egg Rule Update webinar. My name is Mark Gallegos. I am the Inspection and Consumer Services Division Director, and we are happy that you have joined us today to learn more about the recent egg rule updates regarding cage-free eggs and some additional information that we have regarding the program. With me today is Julie Mizak, our program manager for the egg program within the Colorado Department of Agriculture, Dan Zangari, who's the Technical Services Section Chief, and Scott Zier, who is our Regulatory Program Manager. Today, we're going to talk about the last phase in the cage-free egg rules that really started back in 2020. In 2020, the legislation was passed where Colorado adopted the Cage-Free Egg Rule Act. From there, in 2023, beginning January 1, hens and eggs being sold in Colorado were required to be from a source of at least 144 square inches. Beginning January 1 of 2025, this is the second part of that regulation, where now, beginning January 1, 2025, all eggs being sold and distributed in Colorado will be required to be coming from 100% cage-free facilities. So with that, I will turn this over to Julie Mizak, who will give you more information and go through her presentation. Go ahead, Julie.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, everyone, for giving us some of your time today. We do appreciate that. And we're just going to go over some things with the egg rule that will assist the transition into 2025 to be a lot smoother. Before I get into some of the cage-free rule changes, I just want to touch real briefly on some of the egg rules, and that is a requirement for an egg dealer license. So any person engaged in selling eggs in Colorado does need to hold an egg dealer license. There's 7 classes of egg dealer license. Class 1 is for your small flock egg producers. So just your farmers that are selling, to their neighbors, direct to consumer, less than 250 dozen per month. Your class 2 through class 7 egg dealer licenses, those are based on your volume of case sales, and those includes 30 dozen per case. You can find the application for the egg dealer license on our website. If you go to ag.colorado.gov, we are housed under the ICS division, Inspection and Consumer Services, and you click on the Egg Program tab, you'll be able to find that license. If this is your first time getting an egg dealer license, you'll need to print that application and mail it in with a paper check, or you can fill it out, save it as a PDF, and email it, and then someone can contact you to get payment by phone. The egg dealer licenses will expire at the end of each year. And once you do have one, the renewals can be done online. So it's a little bit easier to renew than the initial license. And you'll get an email from our admin team when it's time to renew that. And does anyone have a question on the egg dealer license requirement? If you do, we'll have another question and answer period at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions regarding that egg dealer license, we'll address them then. Another thing I want to touch on is the sell-by date on your shell egg cartons. Colorado is a 30-day state. So that means if you put a sell-by or an expiration date on your cartons, it can be no more than 30 days after the pack date. And I just really want distributors and buyers to be well aware that Colorado is a 30-day sell-by state, not a 45-day. So you need to really pay attention when you're sourcing your eggs that it's got the correct date on there, because making that mistake and submitting eggs or shipping eggs into Colorado with the incorrect sell-by date will cause a withdraw from distribution order, or what we call a stop sale order. And we don't like issuing those, but If they are labeled incorrectly, we will have to do that. Does anybody have questions on that sell-by date? All right. So let's talk about our cage-free transition period now. So as Mark said, we are at 144 square inches. We gave a 2-year transition period. That is ending January 1st, 2025. So all eggs sold or offered for sale in Colorado have to fully comply with the cage-free rule and the additional housing requirements for egg-laying hens. And you can see the definition in our rule 8 CCR 1202-19 for cage-free housing. We have a cage-free rule change that most of you will be happy to hear about, and that is an alternative to our COCOM label, CO-COM, that stands for Colorado Compliant. We will now recognize the words cage-free or the word organic on your shell egg cartons in lieu of COCOM. That does not remove the requirement to get a Colorado certificate of compliance. Every company that distributes in Colorado needs to hold that Colorado certificate of compliance to ensure that all of our eggs do follow the cage-free rule and are compliant with all of those rules. But if you're running out of label room on your carton and don't have room for COCOM or some of the other state-specific language, that's why we've done it. So we will now recognize cage-free and organic. We still prefer COCOM. So if you've got that on your label, we'd love it. Please keep it. But if you cannot get it on there and just need to rely on cage-free and organic, we will accept those as well. The certificate of compliance, so farms and processing plants need to hold a certificate of compliance before you distribute eggs in Colorado. The application for that is an online application. Fill it out right online. It's at the same website, ag.colorado.gov, ICS egg program, and then click on cage-free to find that application. And when you're submitting that application, it will give you instructions to email proof of compliance to us, CDA, Colorado Department of Agriculture. And that proof is an on-site audit, has to be conducted by an accredited agent, and it has to be conducted within the previous year. So going into 2025, we need to see a 2024 on-site audit as proof of compliance for cage-free.
Julie, you have one question?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the flexibility of having either or if the carton is pre-printed organic or cage-free. My concern is just what you just talked about, that without printing the Colorado compliant, somebody could ship eggs into the state and not be pre-registered, pre-inspected, all of those kind of things, and would have the excuse that once they didn't put the Colorado compliance statement on there, that they could plead ignorance and they wouldn't be violating anything. And so while it's nice to say that we wouldn't have to have that on there, I think it opens a little bit of an enforcement loophole.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate that question. That's a good question. Our inspectors are trained when they encounter eggs, either at the retail location or wholesale distributor warehouses. They are not relying just on the label of organic or cage-free. They are trained to look at our approved egg supplier list and verify that that distributor is on, or that farm packer is on our approved supplier list. And to get on that approved supplier list, you get a certificate of compliance. So if they're not on that approved supplier list, then they do not hold a certificate of compliance. So we will not use that label as an excuse to not hold a certificate of compliance. All right, let's move on to, so the on-site audits have to be conducted by an accredited agent. These are the companies that have been accredited by CDA, Validus, Humane Farm Animal Care, American Humane Association, FACTA, and then any other official government agency, so federal or state. Any other questions at this point?
I have one question, Julie. You had said that in lieu of COCOM, we could put cage-free or organic.
Correct.
If it's a conventional flock, but it's free range or pasture raised, do those terms apply as well?
Unfortunately, they do not. We could not come up with a hard, fast definition. So we did not recognize pasture raised or free range as acceptable labels. Organic by the National Organics Program is recognized, and the term cage-free is recognized, or COCOM. So if you have pasture raised or free range, you still need to use your COCOM label after you've received your certificate.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Julie, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I have one other question about this COCOM thing.
Sure.
If we have the words cage-free on our cartons, that's acceptable.
That's correct. As long as you also hold a certificate of compliance.
Right.
Yes.
Thank
That
you.
is correct. Anybody else? So that certificate of compliance ensures that all eggs distributed comply with our cage-free rule. And as I said earlier, there's a list of companies that have received that certificate. We're going to publish that on our CDA website. It'll probably be updated monthly. So if a company has just received their certificate, they're not going to show up for a couple of weeks or until the next update. But on the website, it will be called the Approved Egg Suppliers. And so if you're a distributor or a broker and you want to see if a company that you're considering buying eggs from holds a certificate of compliance, you should be able to check that list and verify that. There was a couple other changes to the egg cage-free rule. We needed to add a combination food definition. It had not been previously defined in the rule, so it was open to a little bit of interpretation, and we wanted to take out that gray area. So a combination food means any egg product that is less than 90% eggs and has been combined with at least one other food product. So combination foods are exempt from the cage-free rule. So this means any product that's 90% egg or greater, they are subject to the cage-free rule. So they will need to be cage-free, hold a Colorado Certificate of Compliance to be distributed. Any questions on that combination food? Okay. And that is the bulk of our information. Does anyone need to discuss anything else about the labeling? Do you have questions or any other general questions? Licensing?